Welcome back to our 12 Points of Fair Franchising webinar series. Today we are going to be focusing on point number 6. So we are almost halfway through with this webinar series. So 2 tools that I am going to suggest to you that you go to the AAHOA website to download. The first is the AAHOA 12 Points Educational Primer. And this has extensive details on each of the 12 points of fair franchising. The other that you can also find on our AAHOA.com website is the 12 points questionnaire. Now, the beauty of this questionnaire is it gives you an opportunity to review it first with your team to better understand each of the 12 points. But you can then also set up a meeting with your franchisor. You can have a heart-to-heart as you ask these questions and seek answers so that you better understand what is in your agreement and what you should expect in the upcoming years as you have a long-term relationship with your franchisor. Of course, I'm also still wearing my 12 points pin. If you have not yet picked one up, strongly encourage you to find a local AAHOA regional or town hall and get one of these collectible 12 points pins. Wear them proudly as we continue to promote victory after victory for the betterment of the industry with fairness in the franchise industry. So with that, let's jump into point number 6. So grab your educational primer, and I'm going to be referring to point number 6, which is full transparency of franchisee-funded programs and fees. We are promoting that there should be full franchisor disclosure and greater accountability concerning the expenditure of marketing, loyalty, and reservation fees collected from the franchisees. This full disclosure and accountability, however, should exclude corporate overhead for employees unrelated to the above-mentioned programs. Now, what are we talking about here? Well, let me just give you an example. About a month or so ago, I was actually in New York City attending a conference, staying at one of the top-end hotels. And in fact, we did some research, and it was $750 a night if you were staying in this hotel apart from the conference. Interestingly enough, a guest could go online and buy 50,000 guest loyalty points to stay at this hotel that night, and would only cost $375 to do so. And of course, the franchisor would profit off selling these loyalty points. Meanwhile, the franchisee did not get the benefit of the $750 guest rate and only got a discounted price if somebody came in and stayed on loyalty program fees. Again, that's not fair. That's not fair to the franchisee who is operating and owning this hotel. So that is what this point addresses. As part of that effort at fairness, we are advocating that on an annual basis, the franchisor should disclose how the technology, marketing, loyalty rewards program, and reservation fees are collected and spent, including identifying the specific products and services that are paid for with these fees. And we are stating that a franchisor should not profit directly from the marketing, the master service agreement fees, technology fees, loyalty program fees, as we just discussed, and the reservation fees that it collects from the franchisees, or use these fees to pay for marketing and advertising related to the franchisor's sale of hotels. So let's look at this questionnaire to ensure that you are asking the questions that most will impact your brand. So the first question that pertains to this point number 6 is, why don't you sit down with your franchisor and just ask this? On an annual basis, do you disclose how the marketing service agreements, the MSA, the technology, the loyalty rewards program, and reservation fees are collected and spent, including identifying the specific products and services that are paid for with these fees. So just ask your franchisor, are you disclosing this? Because if they're collecting the fees, we believe they have an obligation to disclose those to you. Number 2, do you disallow making profits from the marketing, MSA, technology, loyalty rewards program, and reservation fees that you collect from the franchisees? We believe strongly the franchisors should not be making profits off these fees that they are charging you. Let's jump to number 4. Do you have your books and records? And this is a question to the franchisors. Do you have your books and records audited on an annual basis by an independent accounting firm concerning the collection and disbursement of these same fees, the marketing, MSA, technology, loyalty rewards, and reservation fees? And do you share the results of that audit with your franchisees? Again, in the interest of transparency and disclosure, let's make sure the franchisors are having their books and records audited concerning these fees they're collecting from you, and then share that with you to ensure truthfulness and to ensure that it is being done in the proper manner. Turning to number 6, for any profits arising directly from the expiration of loyalty reward fees and or any liquidation of points, do you ensure that these profits remain in the program and are used to reduce future program costs? Again, in the interest of fairness, if they are collecting profits from these various fees, we strongly advise that those profits be contained and remain in the program so that the fees can be reduced in the future. That is only fair. Turning to question number 7, do your loyalty points derive only from guest stays? And again, this goes back to the story I mentioned earlier. Their loyalty points should not be sold at a discounted price. Loyalty points are designed for guests that continue to stay at the hotel to build the loyalty with these guests. So the loyalty points should only come from the guest stays. Ask your franchisor, have that discussion with them. And then finally, question number 9, do your franchisees have the option to voluntarily participate in any loyalty rewards programs such that you are not mandating their participation? Now, you all know where this comes from. This comes from the requirement that as franchisees that you have to enroll a certain number of guests in the loyalty program, or else you have certain penalties if you fail to do so. And what we're advocating for is that you have the option to participate in the loyalty rewards program. And instead of being penalized, maybe they could reward you if you in fact sign up guests to the loyalty rewards program. And there are certain franchisors that do that instead of dinging you for failing to sign up a minimum number of guests, they reward you for every guest that you sign up. So again, it's time to have those heart-to-heart discussions with your franchisors so you know what's in your agreement, you know what's in their policies, you know what's expected of you. So with that, I would like to introduce you to a few other experts who can address why this is such an important point, and we will have them join us now.
So another reason is that we have a challenge is that there isn't transparency with the franchisors and franchisees concerned in a lot of the areas where the franchisees are bearing the bulk of the expenses. But you don't have a clear indication of where those funds are being processed at the cost of the franchisees. Prime example is you take about the rewards points. So the rewards points are every single dollar and every single point that is earned is paid by the franchisees. So at the hotel level, all of this cost comes down to. So what's happened is that when the guest is purchasing these points, the brands are keeping this cash. It is not trickling down to the hotel. The hotel is only getting the typical $35, $40 reservations. At the same time, when a rewards redemption happens, when a guest is using a free night stay using the entire points, the hotel still gets $35, $40 credit on their franchise bill. But yet they're still paying for the royalty, they're still paying for the booking fees and all of that. So all of these ancillary fees and charges are adding back to the franchisee's pocket, and this coming down to the bottom line, and the bottom line is getting reduced while the brands are making more money off of the franchises by using these contracts. Then since there is no transparency, we don't know what is going on behind the scenes and how much money is being collected. It is very critical that we negotiate these items where it is transparency and fair business practice exists on both sides. So what we are looking for is a fair and ethical business practices that both parties can benefit and be profitable.
I thank you again for joining point number 6. We encourage you to continue to watch this webinar series. If you have any questions, if you have any stories, data, evidence of situations that you've seen that have been unfair under this point, please contact us. We can work on your behalf to talk to the franchisors to ensure fairness. And we invite you to join us as we continue to do this together for the benefit of our hotels, our guests, and the whole franchise system. Thank you. We will see you soon for point number 7.